life is hard, but I believe it's meant to be. I believe when lived correctly, life is actually really, really difficult. But I don't think we regret the times when we gave. I don't believe we regret the times when we left it all on the field, win, lose, or draw. Sometimes you can win and still feel that I didn't really not deserve because you won at the end of the day, but feel that I didn't really give. And that's not always in terms of on the scoreboard or on the marks, say on the test or on the amount of profit that you made in the business, whatever the case is. Sometimes you can exit and feel like, okay, I won, we did really well, but the execution was not what I wanted it to be. And the reason for the execution is because I didn't didn't apply myself fully. I think those are the times and the moments that we regret. And so in order to avoid that, it is to apply oneself. Um, I go back to something that I mention, or I seem to be mentioning quite often this week in terms of in my personal life and the conversations that I'm having, which is that the point of life, I believe, the meaning of life is to learn. And then the question becomes, are you learning what it is that you want to learn? Meaning you're gonna be learning something. Like if you decide not to do certain things the way that you wanted to do them, whatever the case is, and you end up as a security guard, you're now learning how to be a security guard. You're now learning to be someone who didn't apply themselves in this way, that way, and the third, and is now in this circumstance. From that point, you can still choose to learn how to be a CEO, how to be an entrepreneur, how to be an athlete, how to be. You can still learn how to come from wherever you are to wherever you want to be. However, you have to choose that. That's my belief. My belief is that the point of life is to learn, and what that learning entails is completely up to you. Not necessarily. The circumstance from which you start may not be up to you, but where you go from that point onwards, 100% up to you. And yes, you will run into other things that affect you, but are not necessarily caused by you. Regardless of that, the decisions that we make, the decisions that follow, are 100% up to us. And so life is supposed to be difficult. Because we need to remember this very, very important point. Decline is hard. Like losing things, that's hard. Stagnation is hard. It's painful being in the same place. Growth is hard. Growth is painful. So it's painful to go down, it's painful to stay the same, and it's painful to go up. I think it is fair enough to reason that life is painful. And it is also fair enough to reason that in each of those instances, you are learning. Whether you are learning what it's like to go down, or you're learning what it's like to stagnate and to not want to be stagnating, or you're learning what it's like to grow. In each of those circumstances, you are learning. And so, focus on the growth for a second. Whenever you're getting bigger, there are growing pains. And so you may experience the growing pains as, I'll touch you with this. A cat, which seeks to be a lion, must lose its appetite for rats. I'm sure some of you have heard that before who've been on the channel recently. What does that mean exactly? Well, it's about sacrifice. Sacrifice painful? Yes. Is it worth it? Hell yeah. Yeah. When you get to those places and you touch those things that you never thought you'd be able to touch until you did, but in that moment when you sacrificed, you knew that this sacrifice may result in me touching that. Those moments are 100,000% worth it. And in those moments, you are learning. In those moments, you'll find that you have completed the journey of learning how to get there. Like my entire life up until this point, I've been learning how to be here, doing what I'm doing now. And from this point onward, I decide what exactly do I want to learn? What's that North Star? What's the thing that I want to do at the end of the day? Who do I want to be? Okay, now what does learning how to be him entail? If I could pick anybody, if I could be anybody, if I could make a character out of nowhere, what would I put him through in order to make him strong? What would I put him through in order to make him resilient? What would I put him through in order to make him patient? What would I put him through in order to make him dot, 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 wealthy? In order to make him rich, what would I have to do? In order to make him loving, in order to make him appreciate love. The reason why I touch on that so specifically is because more often than not, the price of appreciation is deprivation. And so your lack of love at this point in time is your preparation for the appreciation of the love to come. Meaning, if you take love as commonplace, if love is like air to you, no one really appreciates air because it's always there. It's a given. This is it. There is air. And so us, unlike people who are underwater, if you're underwater, there's no oxygen tank, there's no gas, there's nothing. You really appreciate air, if ever, because you come up to the surface. Say you were in whatever situation, crashed surfboard, the submarine did this, whatever the situation was, and you come back up and you breathe air. Oh God, I thought I'd never see you again. Oh, air is so. You really get a new appreciation for air, but that's because you've gone without. And so in these moments, in these times, and I'll actually touch on something that I didn't think I was going to touch on. I don't really feel well. Like it's going to drop on Monday, so I've gone away this weekend. I'm in Bloemfontein, and it's my aunt's 40th. Whoop did he do? And I was meant to go give myself a shirt, a really nice looking shirt, and instead I got myself a really nice looking T-shirt. But that was an option that was discussed as well, and I got myself a watch. Now I have a watch. I know you guys have probably seen me wearing a watch. That watch I'd gotten immediately after I'd come back from initiation school, newly into manhood, had a voucher, like a gift voucher, or whatever. And I was always a guy who's into watches, so I was like, yo, bro, I'm definitely buying an awesome one too. Boom, get in there, get it. I'm gassed. And I had told myself from that point onward that every chance I get, every chance I get, I would buy a watch. Or every new milestone, I would buy a watch. Just as a reminder of, oh, this is what that phase of my life was. Oh, this is what was happening around this time. Oh, that's a representation of, because again, you see that first watch. I'm like, oh yeah, I was coming out of initiation school, this and the third. Got a watch. Second watch, I was coming. This is my first job, very first job. I'm working in ShopRite. I'm a cashier. One of the very first paychecks, got myself a watch. Now I ended up learning other lessons from that watch. Were like, hey, you should probably buy from certain brands. And, certain brands you should start at a certain price point because anything cheaper than that, they don't really make that reliable, etc. I'm not gonna out any companies or that's not the point of this. The point is, so that's boom boom, and then from there, dead silence. Not because I hadn't had opportunities, not because the money hadn't been coming in, but that's not something that is a priority to me. It's not really a priority for me to get watches every chance I get. Especially not when I was trying to push the rugby dream. Especially not I'm doing coaching, I'm working at the job, I'm doing this and that. The money's coming in, but there are more important things to do with that money. There are bigger things that we're trying to move towards. Okay, and so because I had been deprived, I believe, the when I was getting the watch, when I was picking it, this, that, and the third, I actually I came through, I saw, looked around, left, went to go do what I actually wanted to do, and I came back. When I came back, I had one in mind that looked quite similar to the one that I end up getting. And in that moment, I'm like, I kind of want this one, kind of want that one. I'm not, I'm looking, I'm like, I'm not 100% sure about this one, but I'll take it. But like something like that with the attitude of getting it. And then I don't know what happens, but in the moment, like I think it's actually from the moment that, like literally, I'm wearing it to as I'm going to buy it, all that stuff. Don't feel anything for it. But the moment that the transaction actually happens and they go do the fitting, everything, and it's on, and I'm like, this is my watch. Something happened. I lit up. I just elated. I'm like, they say money doesn't buy happiness, man, but I'm pretty fucking happy right now. But it is due to that period where we veered off. Now I think there is some story to be told. And I know we're getting a bit off topic, but travel with me for a second through this mind. There is something to be said about the story that is told through the fact that, again, that young me who saw himself in a certain way, who saw himself who I'm becoming now, that version of me was, like buying a watch, looking this way, three-piece suit, like that guy. Like I'm like, I want to be that guy. And then I veer off and I'm going off to this athletic dream and this, that, and the third. In that time, doing those things is not really a priority for me. Like the thing that I end up doing later on when I'm coming back to myself, or becoming, again, if I were this 100% of the time, I don't think I would feel the same appreciation for being this that I do now. Due to the fact that I have not been in this state for a really long time. When I'm here and I'm in this, I appreciate this so much. I You can look back at my channel and you can see me literally in tears over the little things. Over, man, I have a ring light. I have like such a dope phone, bro, with a high camera quality. Like, I have my own set of dumbbells. I get to train every once in a while. There's a little mat, little push-up stand. Like, it may not mean nothing to anyone else, but for me, it's like, wow, I used to pray for times like this. Like, and I'm here, and again, it's nothing much. It's nothing much at all. But because I have been deprived of it in the sense that, again, the money to do these things has always been there, but because of the lifestyle I was living and the priorities that I'd chosen at that time, I was unable to live in this. And so I was, we can say at that time, I may have, I enjoyed some aspects of, like, I don't regret living life in that way, but I realized that it's not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, right? And so I'm grateful for that experience. But in that time, you're living there are pains that come with this, and you're learning how to be this and what it takes to be this. And then I realized from that learning that, this is not me. But because of that time period, I believe is why, unbeknownst to me, because like I said, I was like, this is a little piece of metal, a little piece of metal that I'm putting on my wrist because again, I'm going to this event, and I didn't get the real suave shirt. That's what I was going for. This suave looking shirt that I'd looked at and wanted to pick out. And then, yeah, we can talk about divine intervention or something like that in a second. In terms of me not being able to find my size, because that's why I even end up going to that store again, and that's why I end up going from that store to a different one. And this whole interaction is happening where I'm even thinking of these things. Is, again, now this is another isolated moment in time that is signified by a certain piece of jewelry, by that's signified by that watch. I can say that, oh, this is when I bought this the year when I went like back to business, basically. When I was back in business, the first 2 months of 2023, I'd read 10 books in 2 months. It was about a book a week, a little more than a book a week, because there's some of them are smaller, whatever. The last 2 months of last year, 2024, I read 10 books in 2 weeks. And so what happened in between those things correlates with the time period when I wasn't really heavy into like heavy into watches, even though I was still probably watching the same or similar content. Not really. I don't think I really was diving too deep into that type of stuff, or very much interested, because I'm kind of blinded by this dream. There was perhaps a price point attached to the dreams that I have gone back to now, um, but digress. In that time, you'll find there are more similarities between that person in the beginning of the journey and the person here at the end, even though they are two completely different human beings, because he hasn't gone through all that. And so he doesn't have the same attachment to that mode of existence that this person at the end does, the person that I am now. I'm deeply appreciative of who I am because I've not been this at some point in time. It took a lot of violence to create this much peace. Um, I had to fight through a lot, or it took a lot of violence to be this peaceful. Meaning, he is restless, unbeknownst to him. He doesn't know that he's restless and has the capacity to be reckless. And here he wrecked. And he comes back around to basically this type of thinking, but with this experience, and has a completely different appreciation for it. So a man never steps in the same river twice, because it is not the same river and he is not the same man. And I will end this video by going to get the two watches that capture that initial time, and then the watch that captures now. And there's something poetic. I'll bring the third one as well, because there's something poetic about it. But it is through that experience that I believe, um, a very dear friend of mine that is also a creator on YouTube. You can check her out. She's under Xhosa Lessons, for anyone who's interested. We were having this conversation, and she had asked me about what it is that made me who I am today. And I said, I don't know. The truth is, I don't know, because we can't relive my life and make different decisions at different points. Like, maybe even if my life, even if I do end up playing, I end up being me anyway. Maybe I don't. We don't know. So I can give very good sound reasons, but we don't know if that's true or not. I'd just be making things up, right? But what we can understand is where I'm at now, and to be speaking from this perspective. But with it being said that I don't know the answer, and I'm literally just making this up right now, there is something beautifully divine and poetic. They say life only makes sense in reverse. They say the not the fallacy of life, but the the paradox of life, something to that effect. The paradoxical thing about life, it is that it is lived forwards, but only makes sense in reverse. And so, not to make this too long, I'm gonna go and get these for you guys, just to tell the story. And there's definitely something that is quite poetic about this third piece that I have. And so the initial piece I'll bring out now. Okay, that's the second one. This is the initial. This is that first watch that I got. This right here. It is a Temper. Hope you guys can see that clearly. Try and click maybe on the camera. There we go. Yeah, that's that first one that I got when I left, when I came back from initiation school, that type of stuff that I got with the gift is that one. again, I will tell you, I'll tell you about the poetry in motion. And so that was the first one. As you can see, it works quite well. It's functional. It's beautiful. It's all these things. Now this is the one I got when I was working at Shoprite chasing that rugby dream. But at that particular time, I wasn't actively playing rugby. This is the year that I took off to put on size. This is the year when I went from about 69 odd kgs. By the end of it, I was over. I was at 95. The last time I'd weighed myself, and then I trained on, and I estimate I was definitely over 100. I estimate near that 110 range. But purely estimation, right? Because at that time, no access to a scale. But I kind of liked that because yeah, there was a lot going on in here at that time. So this right here is from that time period. This is from the time period of working at ShopRite, this, then the third. But notice this: although it is a newer watch than the other one, it's not ticking. It didn't work. It didn't work out. Beautiful as it may have been, realize that, or it kind of beautifully, in a way, signifies the phase of my life that, beautiful as it may have been, it didn't work. You know, it just stopped working for me. Right? The irony of saying that in that way is what's beautifully poetic about this watch. Literally recently stopped working, like last week or something. And then the the beauty, the gorgeous, the representation of the now, um, which is funny because I actually initially wanted to get a gold watch to begin with, but I was always, it's kind of snarky. It's this, it's that, but also not trusting like the plating, that type of stuff. It may erode. It may, this, that. Um, this right here is the one I got today for this weekend's event, and you will find that it is a similar, or it is the same brand as the first one. That was literally not by particular design. I just, or yeah, I happen to trust the brand. I've never had any problems with the initial one. Very beautiful watches, and so I appreciate this one. But this is also now a captured moment in time of now, and it is just pure irony that it happens to represent a time when we are getting back to what the goals may have truly been at their core at that time, and the things that I was looking forward to, now before things got, because the thing is, when you get into those spaces and you're someone like me who is as competitive as me, who's going to lock in as much as me, pay attention as much as me, you can compete. You really, really can. And people notice that. They notice that energy, that ethos, and that people find that very attractive. And so that's why I end up having the conversations with the people that I end up talking to, and we end up talking, or they end up talking to me about, yo, you maybe like sort things out, bro. I got this other guy a contract at the Lions. Maybe I can do the same. Like, you end up in those situations, and it is in those situations that you begin to forget why you started this to begin with. You forget what it was all about, you know. And so life, the meaning of life, is to learn. I ask that, not hold on to, without reason, the first thing you said you were going to do, but be openly honest and aware within yourself what you are choosing currently, who you're choosing to be, what you're choosing to learn. Because we're all going to live, we're all going to experience things, and then we're going to die. So ensure that on this journey, you're experiencing exactly what it is that you want to experience. If you want to experience what it feels like to be a generous person, what it feels like to be a good husband, what it feels like to be a good wife, to be a good person. If you want to experience what it feels like to be a leader, research leadership, read up on leadership. Like, if you want to know what it feels like to be, whatever the case is, we only get this one shot, and we're not going to get it perfect, bro. We're really, really not going to get it perfect. Like I have 3 assignments right now. I'm leaving this weekend. I have 3 assignments right now. I'm leaving this weekend. I'm gonna party and I'm gonna enjoy when I'm there. I'm not gonna sit there and be constantly thinking about this thing and the next thing, because that's not how I want to live life. I want to experience life as someone who is present in whatever moment they may be in. I want to experience life as someone who does have a loving family, which thank God I do. And because I have a loving family, there are certain things and sacrifices that I'm interested in making because that's what I want to experience. You know, at the end of the day, for me, just experience the life that you want to experience. And you may get it wrong. You may get it wrong. Like between this and that, somewhere along the line, I was completely incorrect. I was living a life that I thought I wanted to live very successfully, and I was unhappy. So I was wrong. I thought I wanted to live it, I didn't. But I experienced that, and that's what I had wanted to experience. And in my experiencing of it, I realized it wasn't for me. But if I never go for it, then I live my life in a regret of a life that I never even would have enjoyed to begin with. That sounds like hell to me. And so to avoid such things, experience life. Experience exactly the life that you want to live. With that being said, if you want to help me experience the life that I want to live, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to me. I see all of your comments. I see all the likes, all the support. I love and appreciate you guys so, so much. I know I don't say it enough lately, but I do. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I thank you. I have been Sage. Signing out.